Let's be honest, the restaurant business is basically a graveyard. I mean, it's built on all these beautiful things, right? Dreams, passion, and, well, mostly failure. It's got one of the highest failure rates of any industry on the planet. But then you've got these people who don't just survive, they build actual empires. So what's their secret? What do they know that everyone else is missing? We're going to break down the 3 deadly errors that are quietly killing most restaurants before they even get started.
Okay, let's just start with a number, a really brutal number, 90%. 9 out of 10 restaurants fail in their first year. Think about that. This isn't just a business, it's a total battlefield. And the crazy part is, the war isn't won by having the best food. Nope, it's won by just surviving.
So, what's the difference between the survivors and, well, everyone else? It's not luck, it's not magic, it's actually about avoiding a few huge yet shockingly common mistakes. See, the top 1% have cracked the code. They've got the blueprint, and it all starts by not walking right into the most obvious traps.
And here it is, error number 1. This is the single biggest killer. The reason most restaurants are basically dead on arrival. And get this, it has absolutely nothing to do with your menu, your fancy decor, or even your amazing chef. It all comes down to cold, hard cash.
Okay, so there's a fancy term for it, undercapitalization. But here's what it really means. You pour every single penny you have into creating the perfect restaurant, right? But you forget one tiny, crucial detail. Almost no restaurant makes money from day one. It's like you've built this gorgeous, incredible ship, but you've got zero fuel to actually leave the harbor. You're just stuck.
So here's the rule. It's not a suggestion, it's non-negotiable. It's called the 6-month safety net. First, you calculate your total setup cost, everything it takes to open the doors. Then you add 6, count 'em, 6 full months of operating expenses on top of that. We're talking rent, salaries, power bills, all of it. And that extra cash, that's not your oops fund. It's your planned survival fund. You have to have this before you open. Without it, let's be real, you're not starting a business, you're just gambling.
Okay, great. So, let's say you've got the cash. You're safe, for now. But all that money does is buy you time. The second deadly error is a lot more subtle. It's what we call the positioning problem. Basically, it's about why your restaurant even exists. And this is where so many people get it totally, completely wrong.
So on one side, you've got what's called the matcha trap. This is where most failures live. People see a trend, like matcha everything, and they just copy it. There's no story, there's no soul. It's a one-way ticket to being forgotten. But the winners, they do the opposite. They create the unforgettable cookie. They take something super simple, like a cookie, and they obsess over it. They pour insane amounts of research into it until a single bite completely redefines what you thought a cookie could be. See the difference? That's how you build a real brand, not just another cafe.
Okay, so if chasing trends is a death sentence, what's the answer? Well, this leads us to what is really the third major error, not having an actual blueprint for success. It's not just about dodging bullets. You need a real, deliberate plan to win. And that starts with a totally different way of thinking.
And this philosophy from restaurateur Zorawar Kalra really nails it. He says genuinely take a dish, and you can incorporate, infuse, inject some form of technology and genuinely enhance it. The key word there is enhance. You're not trying to invent something totally new out of thin air. You're taking something people already know and love, and you're cranking it up to 11. You're injecting it with so much innovation that it feels like a brand new experience.
And there's this amazing word for it, fuzzification. It's this art of taking something ordinary, something known, and twisting it into an extraordinary, multi-sensory experience. The perfect example? The dal chawal arancini. I mean, think about dal chawal. It's like the most basic, comforting Indian dish, right? Now imagine all of that. The lentils, the rice, that crunch from a papad, a little bit of chutney, all engineered into one single, perfect, explosive bite. That is how you take something ordinary and make it absolutely unforgettable.
So how do you actually do this? Well, you have to stop thinking like a cook and start thinking like an engineer, an experienced engineer. You can play with the texture, right? Enhance it. You can make the taste deeper, more complex. You can create eye candy, make it so beautiful people have to take a picture. Or you can add some kind of unknown, surprise element. The whole point is to completely change the way someone experiences a food they thought they knew.
But look, you could have the most amazing fuzzified dish in the world, and it'll still die if it's in the wrong spot. Location is a huge part of your blueprint. You've got to run it through a simple litmus test. 1. Is there lunch traffic? Are there offices nearby? Because lunch is the hardest time to fill. 2. Is there dinner traffic?
Do people actually live there for consistent business? And 3, maybe the most important, does your concept even fit the area? I mean, you're not going to open an incredible seafood place in a mostly vegetarian neighborhood, right? Common sense, but you'd be surprised.
Okay, so you've got the cash, you've got an amazing concept, you've nailed the location, but all of that is worthless without the final piece of the puzzle, your A-team. So many founders just blow right past this, but it's the hidden variable that sinks even the most brilliant restaurants.
And here's the big secret. You don't hire for skills, you hire for values. 3 things matter more than anything else. First, integrity. Are they going to do the right thing for the brand, even when no one's watching? Second, intent. Do they have that fire, that drive to go above and beyond? And third, compatibility. Can they actually work with other people and be a team player? You get those 3 things right, and that's the bedrock of your entire culture.
And you have to remember this because it's a painful lesson to learn the hard way. It is so much easier to build competence than it is to build culture. Think about it. You can teach someone how to cook. You can teach them a new technique, but you can never, ever teach someone to have integrity. Culture has to be the foundation. You get that right first, and the skills will come. It never, ever works the other way around.
And this right here is the ultimate goal. You want to get to a point where your great managers don't need to be managed. They don't need a boss breathing down their neck. What they need is a mission, a clear goal, and the freedom to go make it happen. Because in a restaurant, 100 things go wrong every single day. You need people who can solve problems themselves, on the spot, without asking for permission.
So, let's say you've done it. You've avoided the 3 deadly errors. You're open, you're running. But how do you stay alive? Not just for a year, but for decades? Well, there's one last thing, an ultimate secret weapon that ties all of this together. And it's not your food, it's not your marketing, it's your system for listening.
It's a process called obsessive feedback. And I really mean obsessive. This is not about, checking your Yelp reviews once a week. This is a relentless, system-driven process that is the absolute core of how the business runs every single day. In fact, it's treated as being more important than the daily sales report.
And here's what that actually looks like in the real world. A daily call every single day at 12:30 p.m. that is only about customer feedback, nothing else. Using powerful software to scour the internet for every single review, every mention of the restaurant. Having a strict protocol that a manager and a chef have to visit every single table. And then, and this is the key, obsessively tracking to make sure that these things are actually being done. It's a machine, and it's built for just one thing, to listen and adapt faster than everybody else.
So let's wrap this up with a final question for you to think about. It's really easy to fall in love with your own brilliant ideas, right? With your amazing fuzzified concepts. But here's the real test. Is your system for listening to your customers even better than your concept? Because ultimately, that's the one question that decides if you're going to be a survivor or just another statistic in that restaurant graveyard.